Right now, try to tickle yourself. Go ahead. Ribs, neck, the bottom of your foot. Nothing happens. No matter how hard you try, your own fingers can't do it. But let someone else use the exact same touch in the exact same spot, and you'll squirm. Same nerves, same skin, same motion. The only thing that changed is who's in control. Here's why. Your brain receives a flood of information every second, and it throws most of it away before you ever notice. One of the things it deletes, constantly, is the feeling of your own touch. Every time you move, your brain predicts exactly what that movement will feel like, and then quietly cancels the sensation out. You're not failing to tickle yourself. Your brain is actively stopping you, on purpose, millions of times a day. To understand why, you have to stop thinking of your brain as something that simply receives the world. It doesn't. It guesses it. This is the first thing to understand, and it's stranger than it sounds. Your brain is not a camera, passively recording whatever hits your senses. It's a prediction machine. Every fraction of a second, it builds a model of what's about to happen next, what you're about to see, hear, and feel. And it runs that model slightly ahead of reality. Most of what you experience as the present is actually your brain's best guess, confirmed a beat later by the senses catching up. Why would it work this way? Because the world moves fast and nerve signals are slow. By the time a touch on your skin travels up to your brain and gets processed, that moment is already gone. So your brain stopped waiting. It learned to predict the immediate future and act on the prediction, correcting only when something surprising happens. And that single design choice, predict first, check later, is the reason you can't tickle yourself. Here's how it plays out. When you decide to move your hand toward your own ribs, your brain doesn't just send the command to your muscles. It also sends a copy of that command to another part of your brain, a kind of internal memo that says, here's what I'm about to do and here's exactly what it should feel like. Scientists call this internal memo an efference copy. It's a prediction of your own sensation, generated before the sensation even arrives. So by the time your fingers actually reach your skin, your brain is already holding a perfect forecast of that touch. The real signal comes in, gets matched against the prediction, and because they line up exactly, your brain shrugs and cancels it. No surprise, no alarm, nothing worth feeling. The touch is real, but to your brain, it's old news before it even happens. The part of your brain doing most of this work is the cerebellum, a dense, ancient structure tucked at the back of your skull, long known for coordinating movement. It's the cerebellum that takes the efference copy, predicts the sensory result of your action, and sends a quiet cancel signal to dampen it. When you move your own hand, the cerebellum sees it coming and turns the volume down. When someone else moves their hand toward you, the cerebellum has no memo, no forecast, no warning, so the volume stays all the way up. Same touch, wildly different feeling. The only variable is whether your brain saw it coming. So how do we actually know this is what's happening? Because someone built a machine to prove it. In 1998, a neuroscientist named Sarah Jane Blakemore and her colleagues at University College London set out to test the tickle problem directly. They built a device with a soft piece of foam on a robotic arm that could stroke a person's palm. When the machine tickled people on its own, they felt it clearly. Ticklish, unpleasant, exactly what you'd expect. Then the researchers handed the controls to the person being tickled, so they were now moving the foam against their own hand themselves. The sensation almost completely disappeared. Same foam, same palm, same motion. But now their brain had a prediction, and it canceled the feeling out. Then came the clever part. The researchers started adding a tiny delay between the person's movement and the machine's response. A fraction of a second. Then a little more, and as the delay grew, the tickle came creeping back. The bigger the gap between what the brain predicted and what the body actually felt, the more ticklish it became. They had found the exact seam where prediction and reality pull apart, and shown that ticklishness lives in that gap. Your brain isn't checking who is touching you. It's checking whether the touch matches what you predicted. When it doesn't, you squirm. And that leads to the deepest layer of this whole thing, because it turns out this isn't really about tickling at all. Think about what your brain is actually doing here. Every moment of your life, it's quietly sorting the world into two categories: things that are you and things that are not you. The touch of your own hand, the sound of your own voice, the movement of your own body, all of it gets predicted, matched, and dimmed, marked as self. Anything that doesn't match the prediction gets flagged as other, as outside, as something to pay attention to. This is one of the most fundamental jobs your brain has, and it runs constantly, silently, beneath everything you consciously notice. You need this. A brain that couldn't tell its own actions apart from the world's would be in chaos, flinching at its own movements, startled by its own voice, unable to find the edge where it ends and everything else begins. That edge, the boundary between self and not self, isn't something you were simply born knowing. It's something your brain computes millions of times a day using exactly the prediction and cancel trick that fails when you try to tickle yourself. So the reason you can't tickle yourself is the same reason you don't jump every time you take a step. The same reason your own voice doesn't startle you. The same reason you can hold your own hand without it feeling like a stranger's. It's all one system. Your brain drawing a quiet line around you, hundreds of times a minute, telling itself which sensations to trust and which to ignore. The tickle is just the one place where you can feel the system working. It's the seam showing through. When someone else's fingers find your ribs and your whole body lurches, that reaction isn't really about the touch. It's your brain announcing, loudly, "This one isn't mine." Something from the outside got in. And for a few 100,000 years, in a world full of insects, snakes, and things crawling across your skin in the dark, that loud, involuntary alarm, "Pay attention, this is not you," was very much worth having. Every human who has ever lived carried this same hidden machinery. The ones in the caves, flinching at a spider they couldn't see. The ones who laughed when someone else's hand found their ribs and went quiet when it was their own. None of them knew that the difference was a copy of a command, fired off a fraction of a second early by a fold of tissue at the back of the skull. So go ahead. Try one more time. Run your own fingers along your neck, your side, the sole of your foot. Feel how your brain refuses to be surprised by you, the way it has refused for your entire life. That isn't a glitch. It's the quiet sound of your brain doing the most basic thing it does, drawing the line again and again between you and everything that isn't. It saw you coming. It always does.